Kumusta ka Pilipinas? Ako sa nakakatayong. It is time to talk about and review Katrina's Live. Tamana away. TRC 11. Katrina's Live is the second and final official live album released by the legendary underground hardcore pinway punk rock label from the 80s, Twisted Red Cross. Man, a few months ago, I reviewed Brave New World Live Part 3, which is technically Part 5, according to what it began on the sources. And now I'm talking about Katrina's Live. Now, you might be wondering, what's the difference between Brave New World Live and Katrina's Live? Well, they both do the same amount of justice by giving the damn best impression of 80s Filipino punk rock live. If you want to hear Philippine punk live from the 80s, Brave New World Live and Katrina's Live, which I'm not 100% sure when I say this, but those might not just be the only two live punk albums from Twisted Red Cross, but they might actually be the only two actual live punk rock albums from the 80s in the Philippines. And I'm not 100% sure on that, but I've been unable to find really any other live albums from Philippine punk from the 80s like them that contained more than one band, especially released on a label. Because, like I've said in many of my other reviews, the Philippine punk rock scene in the 80s, it wasn't really well documented, and not everybody had a camcorder, not like a lot of the US hardcore bands and UK hardcore bands where you can see live video of them and, live albums. That really wasn't a thing, Twisted Red Cross was the dominant underground label back then from 84 to 89, releasing those 17 original cassettes. Most of those tapes were studio albums, some of them were VA Complex Letter to Barricade. Then you had an 89 Philippines, Where We Go From Here, and then obviously you had Brave New World Live and Katrina's Live. Well, the biggest difference between Brave New World Live and Katrina's Live is Katrina's, for those of you that don't know what it is, it's pretty much the Philippines' answer to CBGB's. And that's the words from almost everyone I know who's ever played there or who knows about it or who's seen it in person. Katrina's was pretty much the Philippines version of CBGB's. That's the best way to put it. And I did a little bit of research from pumpkinskins.com. I found out that Katrina's Live was recorded on January 18th, 1986, which was the last ever show at Katrina's Live before it closed down. And on this live album, we got Betrayed, that dominated the A-side with Caught in a Crossfire, Punk Grains, Military Rules, Urban Assault, Never Meant to Be This Way, When I Met You, Kids We Unite, Hardcore Rules, Betrayed by You. 9 songs of Betrayed. Damn, they nearly did their entire first ever self-titled album on this. It's crazy. Private Stock goes on there with Have More Fun and Future Generation. And let me just say, Mel Maniego, my good friend, has informed me that Private Stock in the studio is awesome, but Private Stock live was unstoppable. Like a force of lightning in a bottle. And Betrayed's hardcore lightning can definitely be felt on this. But Private Stock, on the other hand, when you listen to Katrina's Live, Have More Fun, and Future Generation by Private Stock, you're gonna be like, wait, this is the same band that just released Hype's Cool? Damn! Woo! Almost can't handle Private Stock on Katrina's Live because they're fucking dynamite. They're blowing up the set, and Fred's on stage antics and the jokes that he makes and his spastic attitude. Private Stock featured on Katrina's Live TRC 11 blew me the hell away. I've only heard this album like today as I'm doing this review. Earlier was the first time I have ever actually sat down and listened to Katrina's Live. I've had it digitally for a long time now, but I've never sat down and listened to it until now. And I listened to the entire thing. It's like 45 minutes. It blew me away, especially Private Stock. Betrayed's on there with their hardcore, raw, stripped down, no bullshit rock and roll punk, and they do a damn good job. And I wish I could have saw Betrayed live then. Private Stock. I really wish I could have been there. That just, what I heard through my headphones sounded like an experience that is just undescribable with words. I can almost picture a movie in my head as I'm sitting here listening to this Katrina's live album. I can almost picture the band on stage and what it would have been like. It was that powerful, this whole thing was. So next up is George Imbecile and the Idiots, Bury Yourself, Broken Lineage, The Flag, 9 Years in Service, this time for real. You know, they're raw and explosive and noisy on the set too, and they're making some antics like Private Stock was. And then finally we get Woods with Peace Be With You, Teachers and Cheaters, just like before. Sanido minsan mo lang akantingan. I'm not sure what that necessarily means. And then their very legendary song, Inosente lang ang natataka, Innocent Will Wander. I do know what that song means because I listen to it all the time. It's a really good song and it's a good chanty song. Woods finishes it off. Betrayed starts the album with 9 explosive hardcore songs. They open the setup. I'm just imagining 9 just lightning fast hardcore songs by Betrayed. Bam, 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 bam. You know, just one after there, like bullets from a machine gun hitting and smashing into glass. That's Betrayed up there on stage. The crowd going wild. Bones are getting smashed. Shit's going everywhere. It's like fucking CBGB's in New York, you know. It's just going off the hook. Betrayed's blowing up the set. And then Private Stock comes on there. They do the same damn thing. And Fred's going spastic, making jokes and shit. Private Stock sounds so electric up there. Like I said, when you listen to Hype School's a rock and roll album. It's a straight up rock and roll album. But live, they're just on a whole nother level, and it's experienced on this cassette tape, on this Katrina's Live. I'm really sad that I don't own this cassette, because honestly, if you would ask me, Anarka, what's your favorite? Brave New World Live Part 3, TRC02, or Katrina's Live Tamana Way, TRC11? Very easily Katrina's Live. If I was to choose, if someone handed me both Brave New World Live and Katrina's Live, I said, Anarka, you can only have one of them. You cannot have both. Oh, absolutely easily Katrina's Live. I would have 100% taken Katrina's Live over Brave New World. Now, I love both of those albums. Absolutely. They both do an excellent job of showcasing early 80s, early 80s Philippine hardcore. But the feelings that the way that Katrina's makes you feel, it's kind of a bit more abrasive, more, I don't want to say raw, but Katrina's Live just feels more there. Like, you can experience that with Brave New World Live Part 3. Okay, here's what I think the deal is. I have never owned either cassette tape. I only have heard digital rips. And the digital rip that I have of Brave New World Live Part 3 is not that good. And I've heard other Pinoy punks tell me that Brave New World Live Part 3, TRCO2, it's got terrible sound quality. And obviously with terrible sound quality, that kind of deteriorates the overall listening experience. If you can't understand the words, if you can't hear the band, if it's just, you know, if the audio quality is poor, then that kind of ruins the overall experience, which does kind of make it unfair to an extent for Brave New World Live. But I've actually been told by people who own the original tape that back when it was recorded, Brave New World Live was it always had kind of I don't want to say I guess not as good sound quality. I guess I don't know. I've never heard it before. I'm just saying Katrina's Live has superior sound quality from what I heard. It was recorded damn good. You know, maybe maybe the person who recorded Brave New World Live, if they also recorded Katrina's, maybe they had better equipment or something. I just gotta say, Katrina's live sounds much better, more superior recording. The audio sounds crisp and clear. There's some parts that are a little audio shred. That's gonna happen with a 30-year-old tape, but for the most part, this album is an A+, raw, just in-your-face experience of early 80s Pinoy punk. Which I know I'm saying early 80s, and this tape came out in 1986, and Brave New World Live Part 3 came out in 85, which you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, there's not really much of a difference there. Well, okay, the reason I'm kind of wording it up as Katrina's Live is later is because it's TRC 11, versus Brave New World Live Part 3 is TRC 02. And some of the bands on, Brave New World Live got Woods, Trash, Dead Ends, Sex Militants, Betrayed, Zoot Suit, Ethnic Faces, Deadbeat, Urban Bandits, Private Stock, Excommunicate, Public Scandal. So we've got, Woods, we've got Betrayed, we've got, Private Stock, so forth. Brave New World Live, it's got, pretty much almost the same lineup. Well, for the most part, most of those bands are on Katrina's Live. Giant Idiots isn't on Brave New World Live, obviously, but they share a lot of the same bands. But I guess just it's hard to really do this. It's hard to compare the two. I just wish, because a lot of people were asking me when I did this review to compare. That's what you might be wondering why I'm comparing the two in the first place. Because a lot of people have asked me which one I prefer, Brave New World Live or Katrina's. And after listening to them both almost back to back, I do prefer Katrina's. But that's also an unfair statement to make, because I've never heard a crisp and clear Brave New World Live TRCO2. I've never heard one before. I've only heard one with terrible audio quality, and that's not a fair judgment to make. That is absolutely not a fair judgment to make. Because, Woods, Trash, Dead Ends, Brave New World Live contains just a perfect introduction as being the first ever live Pinoy punk album from the 80s. It's the best introduction, but Katrina's does it justice as a sequel. So I don't want to say either or is better. Yes, the sound quality that I have heard of Katrina's is superior to Brave New World Live, but they're damn good for what they are. They're both raw, stripped down hardcore punk that perfectly examples, that samples 80s Pinoy punk. And, they're both branded in Twisted Red Cross history and Philippine punk rock history. You cannot talk about Philippine punk rock without bringing up Katrina's and Brave New World Live. And, it's just what it is. And I really wish that Twisted Red Cross would have had a third live album, because especially, Phil Vio and IOV and RDA and Deceased and all them, and all the bands from Philippines, where do you go from here? Let's talk about that album later. I really wish that there would have been, TRC 18, I know there is a TRC 18, but I kind of wish that in 89 or so forth, Tommy Tonchenko would have, instead of just ending it with Philippines, where do we go from here, making one last TRC album, one last live album to showcase what the bands after Katrina's Live would have sounded like. Put on, maybe, bring back Dead Ends, Bandits, whatever, but RDA, Phil Vio, Deceased, then all the bands from TRC 17, put all them on a live album and see what they would do, see what they would sound like, showcase it again. Because, he did that with Rescue Ladders 1, 2, and 3. And then he does it again with Philippines, Where Do We Go From Here? Because I like to call that original Rescue 4, in my opinion. Because it does, as I've said before, Rescue Ladders 1, it showcases early Pinoy punk. Rescue Ladders 2 is the politically charged, Fatal Response. Rescue Ladders 3 showcases later 80s Pinoy punk. And then Philippines, Where Do We Go From Here? Showcases end of the 80s. It's 89 hardcore punk crossover in the metal. I'll get to that album later. Tommy Tonchenko did an excellent job with his Rescue Ladder series, and then Philippines, Where Do We Go From Here? So I kind of do wish, as, Brave New World Live definitely follows in the footsteps of Rescue Letters 1 and 2, and then I'd have to say that Katrina's life follows in the footsteps of Rescue 3. It definitely does. I just wish on Twisted Red Cross that there was a live album to follow in the footsteps or whatever of the bands before it, of, TRC 17 and the bands on TRC 17, just to get a good final fill in the void. But at the same time, although it is not a live album, go on Discogs, and there's another record label, which we're going to start looking into this one here soon, because it is so damn important. I cannot get over how important this is. In the 1990s, there was a record label by the name of RMD, Rare Music Distributor. It was founded by Bang Espiritu of Philippine Violators. Philippine Violators obviously released in 87 at large, and then in 91 they came back after TRC was long gone. State of Confusion is on RMD Records. State of Confusion is the second Phil Vile album. However, on RMD, we have Screams from the Underground 1 and 2. We have Alternatibang Musikang Filipino Dekada 90. We've got a bunch of various artist compilation tapes on RMD, which RMD did the justice. RMD did the justice in the 90s that Twisted Red Cross did in the 80s. There's not as many releases from RMD because they didn't really last that long release-wise, but they did damn good justice. But going back to Katrina's Live, from a musical standpoint, it's absolutely perfection. There's nothing, it's a flawless album. It's a perfect depiction, it's a perfect sample of, like I said, Pinoy punk at that time. It's a damn good sequel to Brave New World Live. Going from what people say, if it is true that the original Brave New World Live 3 tape originally didn't have good sound quality, then the Katrina's tape it improved on the lack that Brave New World Live left behind. Because, whenever you make a sequel, whenever something gets a sequel, the sequel is, in general terms, it's much better than the original. Which, quality-wise, yes. But in regards to introduction of music and showcasing music, it's A+ tie game with Brave New World. Like I said, Brave New World excellently depicts the introduction to Pinoy punk by showcasing the original bands. Katrina's shows the mid-tier. Like I said, I fucking wish there was a final live album on Twisted Red Cross. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this review of Katrina's Live, Tamana Way, TRC 11 from Twisted Red Cross. Tom and Tanchenko, I hope you're watching this, man. You did damn good with this one. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling. I'm a little exhausted. There's typhoon over there in the Philippines, and I haven't really slept in a couple days because I've been worried about my wife and all my loved ones over there. Hope y'all stay safe. And I've been listening to a lot of Katrina's Live. I've been kind of looping it all day long, all night long. It's technically 6 o'clock in the morning. I've been just looping it, just listening to it, and getting the story of it. And like I said, if you didn't hear me earlier, the special thing about this release is that this specific show, the specific gig at Katrina's Live on January 18, 1986, was the last ever gig at Katrina's before it closed down. Anyway, guys, I'm Anarka. Thanks for watching this video, and до свидания.